Welcome to another edition of Nosy Neighbors, the fragrance channel for beginners, casual users, and fragrance enthusiasts. My name is Matt. I'm here with you for another review. We will be reviewing Zefiro by the house of Xerjoff. So Zefiro is in the Xerjoff line of 1861. It came out in 2015. The nose behind this perfume is Mathieu Norden and Robert Tet. I apologize if I mispronounce the name. 1861 line has three fragrances: Renaissance, Naxos, and Zefiro. Xerjoff is a pretty popular niche line, one of my favorites. And the reason why I chose to talk about Zefiro today is I think within this particular line is the least talked about, and it's pretty good, and it's worth I think it's worth mentioning. So let's get on with the review. All right, so let's talk about the presentation. This is the box that it comes in. It's pretty nice. I enjoy the box. So as we kind of open it up. And this is what the fragrance comes in. Xerjoff is known to have really good presentation. It's kind of like a leather feel. It's very plush. You open it up. As you open up the box, you have these kind of felt paper lining that's inside there. And as you open it up, the fragrance sits in there. Here's the fragrance, kind of just like that. So, and then there, the fragrance sits. Very well done. Xerjoff is known for presentation. So the bottle itself, this is the newer bottles as they've changed the bottles. It's very nice and classy. And let's look at the spray here. Distribution of the spray, overall good presentation. So here, Nosy Neighbors, when we kind of give fragrance reviews, we like to go over the 3/4 P's. And the first one is the scent profile. Kind of let's talk about this fragrance and the notes that's in it. At the top, there's bergamot, white wine, artemisia, and elemi resins. In the mid notes, you get cardamom and cinnamon, pretty prominent there, and then carnation and iris, and then in the base, you get honey, kind of adds a sweet flavor to it, woodsy notes, incense, which is pretty prominent in this fragrance, and then ambergris or amber, or I think just kind of within the woodsy notes is ambroxan is probably what I think is in it. But those are the notes of it. Overall, I guess you would consider this an oriental woodsy fragrance, and I think that's a good classification for this. So the performance on this fragrance is quite good. I think when you first spray it, you get pretty good projection for about the first 2 to 3 hours. Even within that, I have it on my hand here, and with the first couple of hours, even though it's just on my hand here, when it's even away from me, the sillage is pretty good. It gives a good scent trail. I can continuously smell it on me. Overall, I get about 6+, maybe 7 hours out of this, so it's a pretty good performer. I say basically just slightly above average. It's not beast mode. It doesn't last for an incredibly long time, and it definitely doesn't project in where somebody was smelling in the other room. But overall, it projects very nicely. I'm happy with the projection of it, and the longevity overall is pretty good. Like I said, 6+ hours, 7 to 8 hours, just kind of depending on how you wear it. Or basically, kind of like my take on this fragrance. Initially, when you spray it, you get blasted in the face with the white wine moscato type of feel. So really kind of sweet white wine that lasts for about 5 to 10 minutes right off the bat, which kind of to me makes it kind of unique. I haven't really smelled a lot of fragrances that just smell like white wine right off the bat. Underneath that, even if the first 5 to 10 minutes, you get kind of this spiciness, which I think is kind of coming from like the cinnamon. As that dry down after the first 5 to 10 minutes, the white wine is still there, but it kind of goes back in the background, and this is where like the fragrance starts to come to life. So you really start to feel, I mean, I know cinnamon is the mid note, but you really start to like really sense and smell the cinnamon, a spicy cinnamon that's slightly sweet. There's honey in the base, and I think the cinnamon and the honey together work really well. So you kind of get this sweetness from the honey, from the white wine, and the cinnamon kind of gives a spicy, sweet sense. And this fragrance really has depth because you get hints from the very beginning of like incense, kind of deep down, that you notice it's there, but it's not like ever overbearing. I mean, you smell incense within this fragrance throughout the wearing of this fragrance, but it's never like a very prominent note, but you also notice this is there. So you can kind of really sense the depth of this fragrance, which I think it makes it good. I've always been pretty impressed by Xerjoff's fragrances. It's quality ingredients, and you could really tell just within the smell of that. So after that 5 to 10 minutes, and you get that cinnamon smell, and the white wine kind of goes a little bit in the background, you get this artemisia, which is like wormwood, or also kind of gives the smell of absinthe, which is kind of, you know, wormwood is used within absinthe. Now, it's not that licorice smell, it's kind of a little bit more of like a green or an herbal smell. But overall, with the white wine and this like artemisia, it kind of gives slightly a boozy smell, but it's not really a boozy fragrance. I wouldn't classify that as at all. But you get a sense of somewhat of a like, you know, an alcohol smell or a boozy smell from it a little bit. But it's really not a boozy fragrance, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. That artemisia is really really gives it a really interesting take right after the blast in the face of the white wine. As it continues to dry down a little bit more, the cinnamon becomes a little bit more prominent. There's a little bit of cardamom, which you could definitely smell the cardamom as well. That kind of gives it the spiciness, and the incense starts to take over just a little bit more. So it's slightly smoky, but it's still really in the background. So you just get this like kind of sweet smell from the white wine and the honey and the cinnamon that plays pretty good. I think kind of after about 1 or 2 hours of this, you really kind of get that sweet cinnamon smell. I've been complimented on this and even been told by females that I smell like Christmas, and that's something I've heard a couple of times from a few other people. And then kind of after that, you get to about 5 hours into wear of the fragrance, you get a really woodsy notes come to play. I think it's rather unisex because of the sweetness and the white wine, and maybe some of the honey. Overall, I think that because of that, like I said, I personally think it's unisex. I know a lot of people might say it leans masculine, so I think it does have a masculine leaning, but anybody could pull off this. At times I'd wear it. I think it's pretty good for most seasons because it's very warm. From like the honey and the abroxan and the woodsy notes. It has like carnation iris, although I never really picked it up in the mid notes, and the cinnamon gives it a really warm feeling to the fragrance. So I think hot summer days it'd be very difficult to pull this off, but other than that, I think you could wear it on cooler summer nights. Definitely during the fall. It's definitely a winter fragrance. It kind of has that holiday vibe for Christmas, so Thanksgiving and Christmas is a good time to wear it. I also see myself wearing this a lot on date night. The fourth P that I'm really talk about is price. Unlucky Scent, I think you could get this for $220. I personally bought this on the gray market for a little bit cheaper than that. If you've smelled this fragrance before, and if you like it or you don't like it, let us know in the comments. I'd be interested to see other people's take on that. As always, live good and smell well.